Hello and welcome. We're going to wait for a little bit for all of our attendees to get into our room. We're so happy that you're here with us tonight.
I'm happy to be.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you for coming tonight and welcome to our webinar talking about FBLA and the new um, AP CTE course. So for attendees, the chat has been disabled, but there is a Q&A feature that you can type in any questions that you have along the way. And our panelists here today will be able to answer them as we go and maybe answer a few along the way. So the goal of this webinar is to share more information about this course, who can teach it, and talking about the amazing opportunities for FBLA members and advisors. This has definitely been a long time in coming, and AP is certainly excited to be adding a CTE course in business and marketing. So this course absolutely extends the benefits of AP to your business and marketing students and teachers who might not be able to or haven't thought of themselves as AP teachers. So I am happy to start out the introductions of our panelists here today. So Anand, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jen. And thank you, everybody, for taking time from your busy week to attend this webinar. We're very excited to have you here. My name is Anand Vasudevan, and I'm the program manager for the AP Business with Personal Finance course. And more than anything else, I'm really excited to have our panelists here who will introduce themselves, share their experience as field testers and as sort of curriculum builders for this course, and how this course can be beneficial for FBLA members and advisors. I'll hand it off to Kevin, who's next on my screen.
Thanks, Anand. Hi, I'm Kevin Schachter. I am a business teacher in Palm Harbor, Florida. I'm a FBLA advisor for the past 20 years. I've been a director for 12 years. I've been teaching entrepreneurship for about 20 years. And before that, I spent 20 years in business. So I've got a lot of firsthand experience with this. And I'm really looking forward to taking what we've done with the field test this past year and kind of bringing that out to the full course rollout next year, as well as looking at all the different ways we can tie it in with FBLA.
I'm Joe Powell, and I teach at Pine Creek High School in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I have been an FBLA advisor and business teacher for a little over 20 years. And before that, I was in industry in the telecom industry for a little while. I'm really excited about this course. I've been doing the field test this year with semester-long classes, so I'm really excited to roll it out in a year-long class next year. And so yeah, I'll hand it off to Jacob.
Hey guys, Jacob Avila from right smack dab in the middle of California. Not necessarily the cool part, but where all the ag in our country comes from. So in Visalia, I've been an FBLA advisor for 19 years and business teacher that time as well. At Redwood High School, similar to what Joe's saying, I love rolling out the course as a field tester. Excited to see where I could take it next year. You know, like your first run, you're like, oh, it was good, but I have a lot of things I'm already like my notebook is full of you should have done you're a dummy, you should have done it like this, you know. So it's really fun to explore it this year, and I'm excited for you guys to take part in that with us next year too. And I'll hand it off over to Jen Sheets.
Hi all, Jen Sheets. I am at Cherry Creek High School just outside of Denver, Colorado. And I've been teaching for, I guess, 26 years, but I've been an FBLA advisor only for 7 or 8 years. I field tested this class this year. in a semester-long intro to business class, and then I'm working with it also in a personal finance class, so getting that personal finance component. And that's a really exciting part of this course. A lot of us just came from the kind of train the trainer trainings a couple weeks ago with this course, and the updates that they have made to the curriculum that's going to be made available to you is really phenomenal. We had great stuff that we worked with this year, but moving forward, it's going to be even better.
And I'm Jen Staley, the Senior Director of Education and Learning at National FBLA, and today's moderator or host for the webinar. So let's talk about this course. What is it? Is it a business course? Is it a marketing course? Is it a financial literacy course? What content do students learn in this course? What skills do the students learn that can help them be successful? And how does it connect to FBLA? So we are really excited to hear about our experts that are FBLA advisors on the panel today. But first, let's turn it over to Anand, and he is the program manager at AP, will help you understand a little bit more about what is taught in this course. What do they learn in content and skills? So Anand, take it away.
Thank you, Jen. Next slide, please. So the course is everything that you said and even more. So what it really is it's a foundational business course that exposes students to the various sort of aspects of business, marketing, and finance, as well as strategy. So it covers a whole spectrum, and it does so in a very sort of experiential and hands-on manner. So the units start with business competition, new ideas. So the baseline assumption is that students come into this course with no knowledge of business or personal finance. It doesn't have any prerequisites. And so we assume students come in knowing really nothing. And so with that in mind, the course is designed to take them through a journey where they actually understand the various aspects. So we start off with business competition and new ideas, where they learn about how new ideas are formed. Then they move into a unit on marketing. And so once the ideas are formed, how do you identify the customer, the target customer, the 4 P's of marketing, and all your sort of basic foundational knowledge in marketing. And then we move into the finance and accounting unit. But the way it's done, the way it's structured, is because students come in with no knowledge of finance or business, we first introduce them to personal saving and borrowing, personal finance. And that allows them to connect a lot better with organizational finance that then follows after that. The 4th unit is on management and strategy, which is your HR, leadership, your sort of performance indicators, and all the good stuff in terms of how you evaluate a business. And the very last unit is back to a culminating project, which is a financial advisor project, where they learn about personal goals, budgeting, and investing. If you notice here, it's a matrix. So personal finance or financial literacy is really embedded in every unit throughout the course, but there's a huge focus in units 3A, which is a smaller unit leading to the 3B unit, as well as unit 5. But personal finance is really embedded throughout the course. And so when students actually go through this course, they're prepared no matter what sort of business pathway they want to go into after this. So next slide, please. Now we spoke a little bit about the content. So as a CTE course, just as important are the skills. And realistically, this course teaches just as much around skills as it does about content. And really, it's a very skill-based course. And so the skill categories broadly break up into like what we call business and personal finance skills, which is your concept skills. And then you have your professional leadership skills, which are directly sort of correlated with what they'll be doing with FBLA and the competitions and so on and so forth. And our panelists here will talk a lot more about this later in the presentation. So the very first category is concept application. So they learn about marketing. Can they write a marketing plan? They learn about budgeting. Can they come up with a budget? And the second category is entrepreneurship. And this is very interesting that we actually have entrepreneurship as a skill category, because we really believe that entrepreneurship should be woven into all aspects of business, marketing, and financial thinking. And so entrepreneurship is actually a skill category. And then we have decision making as a skill category, which, whether it's for their personal decision making or organizational, students learn a framework in terms of how to understand a problem and make decisions for themselves, which is very powerful. And then, of course, this course wouldn't be complete without communication and collaboration and the durable skills, which they practice really every single day in this course. So that's sort of an overview of the content and skills of the course. I'll hand it back to you, Jen.
Excellent. Thank you for that broad overview. Definitely seems like a course that would make students want to dive a little bit deeper, both into the business, the personal finance, and the AP world as well. So I know that we're going to be talking a lot about how this benefits FBLA members and connects with programming. So I'm going to turn it over to our panelists. And so the first one, Joe. I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you, how are your students responding to this course? Is this course really for all students who have not taken AP before?
It really is. So I always pitch it as it's very freshman friendly. We had our information night a few nights ago for our incoming eighth graders. And I had a lot of students really excited that there was an AP course that they could take as freshmen. So I expect my numbers to be really big next year. But the students that are currently in the course, it walks them through the content knowledge, and it also gives them a chance to start doing really low risk kinds of presentations at the very beginning of the course. The very first project, we culminate with a 3-2-1 pitch, which is, just one slide, 2 minutes, and three parts of the business canvas model, which we'll see later on. But it's a really baby steps them through things so they feel comfortable and they can build their skills throughout the course so that when they get to that final culminating event at the very end of the course, that they feel comfortable and they feel confident in what they know and how to present it.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, Kevin, this next question is for you. How does this AP course content and skills connect with FBLA programming, specifically with competitive events and the knowledge areas and the objectives that currently exist?
Yeah, I think it's a very natural alignment with the various FBLA performance indicators uh, and the competitive events, in that they're both built around these applied real world business skills, with the course emphasizing financial literacy and management and marketing and entrepreneurship and ethics and data driven. It ties directly into a variety of FBLA events. So, the throughout the course, students they're looking at financial statements and they're analyzing them. They're evaluating risk. They're interpreting market data. They're doing market research to create that data. They're defending their decisions that they make, citing evidence that they're able to find. And these are all skills that are required for FBLA objective tests and case studies and presentation based events. And then when you add in the additional focus on communication and collaboration and ethical reasoning, it's just really helping further prepare students for competition in FBLA, as well as all of the leadership experiences that they might participate in through FBLA. So, the course really functions, both as a rigorous academic course and then also as, very intentional and direct preparation for FBLA, really allowing students to apply what they learn in class directly to their FBLA competitions and take what they're learning and doing in FBLA and apply that into the classroom.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, Jacob, I believe you are next. How does it feel as a teacher to teach this AP course with college level content and being an FBLA advisor?
Yeah, I think it seems pretty daunting at first. I saw it a couple of years ago, kind of like this is in the works, might be happening. And I was thinking, could I actually really do this? I've just done all courses that I've created. They're my little pet projects, and I make them how I want to make them. My district lets me have a little freedom there. CTs in our own little world. We're not, always seen as the academia of the world on our campus. And so this was a little bit daunting at first, but I think once I dove into the content in which, hopefully the teachers that are here today or state leaders want to promote it to their teachers, it's really user friendly, like we've mentioned a couple times. And a lot of stuff that you already do in, like, my entrepreneurship class has a lot of aspects that we do in this class. My foundations class has a ton of stuff that we do in there. So to have it be now a course that could help kids get college credit, could help them take a test, get all my kids want the grade bump. So hopefully, like Joe, I have a ton of kids saying we're gonna do it next year for sure. And I'm like, okay, when I see the sign up and my counselors are giving me good feedback that there's a ton of kids interested, so I'm excited about that. But just having breaking through the little barrier in my mind, like, oh, I could do that. I've done this content. It's just now maybe following a framework that isn't just mine and letting go a little bit of the control that we want to hold on to, and now trusting that AP has it mapped out like Anand said, where it's more user friendly with the teachers and helping the kids connect to content that's real world relevant to them through the business canvas, things like that we'll talk about later. So really excited, was nervous. So if you're nervous, it's okay. And technically, I'm still nervous for next year, but because it's now it's real. So I'm excited though.
Excellent. So, Jen, let's round it up and tell us a little bit about the student aspect of this AP course and what you found.
Absolutely. Um, I love these career kickstart programs that we are able to bring AP to a kid who doesn't think they're an AP kid. That is the most exciting part of these for me. I piloted this first semester in an intro to business class, which isn't necessarily one of our AP feeder kind of programs. And I intentionally didn't tell the kids that they were piloting an AP class. That came later, and just the looks and the disbelief of these kids that they were doing AP level work. And they were. It's a different kind of class. It is so relatable to them. It is a project-based learning class. So if you've taught project-based learning, you know that it allows kids to access it at so many different levels and at so many different points and express and demonstrate their learning in so many different ways. The resources that are in place, like Joe said, stair step them to that AP point. The case studies, and there are so many of the case studies, are the perfect launching ground for FRQs, but you start small and you build with it. So I really believe this class can open AP doors for kids who've never thought they were an AP kid.
Thanks, Jen. So now that we have a little better understanding of the course content and skills and how it connects to the work that we're doing with our FBLA members and chapters as well, on it, I'm going to kick it back over to you to talk to us about the course design and instructional strategies and how this AP course is really engaging for students.
Great. Thank you, Jen. And to reemphasize what Jacob mentioned earlier, and I believe Jen mentioned as well, in terms of this course is really designed to extend the AP invitation for those students who didn't consider themselves AP students prior, might not have. At the same time, teachers who haven't taught AP before as well. So I think I can't overemphasize the fact that the way we're designing this course is around really sort of inviting this invitation to more students and teachers. And I see a question in the chat really quick. I'm going to answer live here. Is it recommended for a semester or year-long course? It's designed as a year-long course, 160 hours plus 20 hours of flexible time that you can use for certain local needs. But you can do it as, we've seen teachers, it's doable at the double block semester format as well. We have some teachers testing it in a single block semester format, and I'm sure that's got to be really stressful. So it's really designed to be a year-long course or a double block semester course. I have another question in terms of Tennessee in specific. So in terms of whether it satisfies a requirement in Tennessee, yes, it does. But I would just reserve these questions for a follow-up email because every state is different where we are in terms of where we're satisfying certain requirements and so on and so forth. But if you can just send up, we'll send these answers a follow-up email to you, if that's okay. So talking about the course exam and design. So the course was designed really as a AP course for the CTE space, where it's aligned with high quality CTE principles, as well as sort of the cross-cutting framework of new advanced CTE cross-cutting framework, where it can fit into multiple pathways. So we have places where they're offering this as sort of like a intro course in their ninth grade pathway, in multiple pathways as a ninth grade level 1 course, but we have other places that are thinking about offering this as a level 2 course, and some potentially as an entrepreneurship that's a level 3 course as well, potentially. So it really varies in terms of where the course can be offered, and it really depends on your particular district in terms of how your programming is. So in terms of where it falls, that was one of the questions I saw in the chat here, but that's how it sort of, So next slide, Jen, if you don't mind. Great. So the course, if you know, it's an AP Business with Personal Finance course, and there's a reason for that, and it was by design. So a lot of our research showed us that when we have personal finance taught with business, and this is what we heard from a lot of CT teachers already, that they do this, they've been doing this for years already, is really to make the content, the business content, more relatable. The personal finance really allows them to make those personal connections. And the fact that, if they first learn about saving and borrowing, then in terms of understanding what the business, more complicated sort of business financing needs are, they're much easier to understand that in terms of debt and credit and so on and so forth. And as a finance teacher, I think intuitively you probably did a lot of that, but this is sort of built into the course. Similarly, on the flip side, learning business and knowing how a company works and how a company is valued can really help you be a better personal investor in terms of how you invest your money. So the two subjects are really mutually enforcing. And so this was done by design. Next slide, please. So the three things that really sort of bring this course to life, and we'll have our panelists talk about this, are the case studies. These real life narratives and stories of real companies and what leaders in these companies. Super exciting, and they'll talk a little more about this. This is core to the course and prepares you really well for the AP exam as well, because it's going to be around these decision-making skills they learn from this. The second part of the course is the Business Canvas project. That is an entrepreneurial project where the students come up with their own business idea, and they walk through this. They do this throughout the first 4 units. And then as they learn from the case studies in terms of how a founder came up with an idea, they then go and apply that into an entrepreneurial idea of their own. Then they go into the marketing unit and come up with how they might come up with a marketing strategy. So they're creating a business plan, a business canvas throughout the entire first 4 units. And the very last project is a financial advisor project, which is like the culminating project, where they bring together all of these sort of different skills that they learn, and they're advising a fictitious family on how they would actually manage their wealth, manage their finances, in terms of understanding the risk tolerance, their sort of goals, and then walking them through the entire process of coming up with a detailed financial plan. So these are the 3 elements that really bring the course to life. And I will hand it back to you, Jen, if you'd like to invite the panelists to talk a little more about these.
Absolutely. So, Joe, I believe you're going to tell us about the case studies and what that looks like for FBLA students and why the students like it.
So the case studies are very deeply researched. They're real businesses that exist today. They are, some of them are brands that the students will be familiar with. Bombas is the first case study that we look at. And a lot of kids are familiar with that. There's also Siggy's yogurt brand that I think is actually on the screen right now, that students are familiar with. But then there's some others that are more locally based businesses that are more regional or something like that. So they're real businesses that the kids get to learn about and interact with. And it really gives them that authentic problem solving with a real business. Some of the case studies ask you to make decisions like what would be next for that business. And so they get to apply the knowledge that they're gaining within the course with a real live business scenario of what they might do and how they would help that business make decisions in the future, which I think is great for them to take some ownership in that. And again, it starts you out, the case studies are embedded within the project-based learning. And it's, you kind of are learning through the case studies. So you talk about different business terms, different business concepts within the case studies. You answer reading questions with the students so that they're deeply reading. You teach them how to really pick apart a case study, which I think really helps with FBLA events, especially the role play events, so that they can sit down and really critically read through that case study quickly and find the customer and find the business problem and find the stakeholders and find all of those things that are important to be able to answer in an FBLA competition. But it's also just the way they learn in this course through all of these case studies. I think there's 25-ish case studies within the course, and they're all really well done. And the kids really like them. They're excited when we do case study days, and we get all of the highlighters out and they start highlighting through their case studies. So
Thanks, Joe. I'm gonna kick it back to Anna to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the Business Canvas project.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so like I said before, the Business Canvas project is so they're learning the concepts through the case studies and applying some of those analysis skills. But then the Business Canvas project is where they actually take it and into the real world, right? So this is where they are learning about how companies come up with their new ideas, and then they work in groups of up to 3 to come up with their own idea. And the Business Canvas is essentially a graphic organizer. Some of you might have heard of the Lean Canvas. It's very similar, a business canvas. So it has all the various aspects of a business plan, but like on one page. And so then the students fill this out as they go along. So they first learn about, they come up with an idea, then they learn about what companies did in their own marketing departments, and then come up with what their marketing plan is going to be. How do they identify their target customer, and so on and so forth. They need to think about how they raise money for the company or the idea. And they would do the exact same thing and then apply it to their own idea. So by the end of the first 4 units, they have essentially come up with a business idea, and in fairly great detail, that then they'll be able to take and use it in other sort of competitions that they participate in. And so this will also connect to one, I'll get to that later on, but it's called a free response question on the actual AP exam. Not the actual outcome of the Business Canvas project, but the thought process around how they did the project is what will be tested in the AP exam. So that's sort of like this, the summary here. And so if one of the panelists could maybe talk to how this Canvas is playing out in their classroom, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I got you, Anand. So this was a challenge for me at first because for almost 20 years I've been doing a full scale, full on a business plan, and to scale this back to this canvas was just kind of a challenge for me to step back and make this more visual rather than this all-encompassing thing. But what I've been finding is it's working really well in the classroom. It's giving the students this very structured, but also very flexible way to, think like a business owner, and then instead of just memorizing concepts, it helps them connect directly to customer needs, to value propositions, revenue streams, costs, operations, all in this cohesive model that's very visual for them. So it's, really keyed in for this generation. And that kind of big picture thinking is where that learning is really happening. And once they get into the project and they start making these different connections through this project-based learning, they like that it kind of mirrors how a business operates. They like the idea that there's no single right answer or single right way to do things. It gives them, opportunities for creativity and collaboration and strategic planning. And, it still requires them to justify the decisions that they're making, with data and reasoning instead of, just guesswork. And they, again, they really like that visual layout, how they can see everything in one place instead of, building this big book that they've got to flip through to find things in. And it really connects in very strongly to FBLA and what the FBLA students are doing, because it's building the same skills that they're using and applying in their competitive events. They're practicing entrepreneurship and financial planning and marketing and management decision making, so things that are central to FBLA, and then obviously business plans and case studies and events like that. So they're developing the abilities to really clearly explain and defend their ideas and to solve problems and think critically and to make presentations and to judge their own questioning of things, so that in the end, this business model canvas, it becomes a really great classroom learning tool as well as a building block for FBLA competition and their leadership success.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. So now, Anand, back to you. Tell us about this financial advisor project.
Great. And like I said before, this is the culminating project. And oftentimes this is done after the AP exam because there's a time for a lot of schools, depending on when your school opens, or it can be done in other parts too, but oftentimes it'll be done after the AP exam to keep the students engaged. But so this is where they bring in their business knowledge that they've learned, their entrepreneurial sort of skills that they've learned, as well as all the financial literacy they've learned. And so they are essentially going to, when we have, like the case studies, we've created these fictitious family profiles. And these are like really detailed family profiles, right? So they talks about there's pay stubs in there, tax documents, all kinds of different things. And the students take all that and they work, and this is an individual project where they have to work on essentially coming up with a fairly detailed financial plan. The teachers on this, the panelists on this call haven't done this project yet, I'm guessing. So, but I would love to hear, like, from their perspective in terms of what they think about this. And this sort of is a culminating project, so it brings together all the skills they've learned throughout the course. So if somebody could possibly, give some feedback around this project, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so for me, I haven't taught this yet, but just seeing how similar to the Canvas, like Kevin was saying, it kind of relates to real world things. It directly relates to FBLA for the advisor hat and me for competitions just through the financial planning event where they're doing similar things. So I've had my kids do that event for our state conference and prepare for that. So just using the same things we work together on that. In this project, I love that this project is at the end because one thing I talked to in investigating this course, talked to all my AP friends, like, what do you guys do after the test? So to have something that's tangible, something that relates directly to personal finance and a big component of the course, start, in unit 3.1 and now in unit 5, that's a great way to kind of end the year and give them something a little bit more tangible than just like, oh, good job on the AB test. Now let's move on. We're hanging out for the next month. So I like that they have something tangible in the course. Um, there is a question in the chat from Dan. For me, it's going to be for my sophomores through seniors. So I have my intro class, and then you asked if it's Entre 1, Entre 2. So for me, it's going to go at the end of my pathway. But again, like Anand said, it kind of depends on your specific district. So hopefully that answered your question, Dan. But yeah, for this project, it seems to be a great culmination to the year of a lot of different, learning all those skills through other ways, and now they're going to apply it to personal finance in this scenario. Joe, or does anybody else who's taught did the semester, did you guys get through this? Or I know it's quick with the semester course, but
Yeah, no, I had to really skip over it in order to fit everything, in a semester. It really needs to be a year-long class. Like, don't try to do it in a semester unless you have a double block, would be my best advice because I am doing it again, semester long classes, second semester, and I literally had to map it out for the rest of the school year just to get the essentials of this in, and I have to, like, it's a no frills kind of thing. So so yeah, that last piece I can't fit in.
And I think it helps solve a problem I know a lot of AP teachers have of what to do after the AP exam, because a lot of this is stuff you can do once they're done with that exam and you still have school remaining.
From a personal finance teacher perspective, that's where I'm testing this in the spring. I'm really excited about this project because this is that project we've all wanted to do, that financial planning, see what they can put together. And this is so well done. There's so much in this that it's that project we've all wanted and we just haven't had time to create, and it's been created.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So now the big question is that exam. So Anand, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk about that.
Great. So the exam itself is structured like a traditional AP exam, except for the fact that all of the questions in the exam are very application oriented. There's be very little of definitions and such. It'll be very much like what they're doing in the case studies in the project, in terms of like really understanding certain scenarios and applying their business and personal finance knowledge to what they learned. And so it's broadly broken up. All AP exams are broken up into multiple choice questions and free response questions. The multiple choice questions will cover both business as well as personal finance topics. And there'll be 60 questions and it'll be 70 minutes. And the free response questions, there are 4 of them. Like I said before, the one question connects back to the business canvas project. It'll test the thinking, the process around how they came up with the business idea and what they did, the market research, and so on and so forth. And the 3 other questions are very much like what they would see in their case studies. And so it's going to be just like an exam version of that. And so they'll have a particular situation, and they would have to sort of so you notice there's a concept application, which could be around something like a financial statement, for instance, and then there's a business decision where they put themselves you'll be told that you are a person in that company looking to make a particular decision, and you'll have to sort of answer based on that. So very, very application oriented and less just facts oriented, very application oriented exam.
Excellent. Thanks, Ahmed. So now we're going to move into the implementation pieces. So we've been seeing a lot of interest in this course, and FBLA advisors are signing up to offer this course in their schools this fall. So there are lots of questions. We've seen these questions in the Q&A portion, and I know that I've heard some of these questions. So overall, here's some questions, and then I'm going to open it up to Anand to give us a brief overview of it, and then maybe see if our teacher panelists want to hop in there. But what are the benefits for AP courses for teachers and students? What type of a student is this course made for? We heard Jacob talk about being nervous earlier. So what can we do to help calm both FBLA advisor, teacher nerves, and student nerves about that? And I'm assuming that a lot of these teachers that are going to be teaching this for the first time, it's intimidating to think about teaching AP courses. So do they need special training? Do they need a graduate degree? What does that look like? And where does this course really sit in a program of study or in a course of sequences in their CTE program? So I'll turn it over. Anand, you want to take a first stab at that?
Sure, yeah. And just go to the next slide, please. So, just because we do realize that, a lot of teachers who will be teaching this course are most likely new to AP, and there are a lot of them are business CTE teachers. And just want to quickly go over the benefits of AP to students. Obviously, there's the opportunity to earn college credit or placement. I saw a question, I think, early on that talked about what kind of college credit students will get. And so so we have a very broad and a large college higher education team that works with colleges and universities, 2-year and 4-year all around the country. And so they're in the process of locking in these college credits in different universities around the country and systems as well in state systems. And so when there's an intro to business type course that's available, it normally gets credit for the intro to business type course. And if that's not available in some places, they don't have an intro to business type course, but they directly go into like the upper level courses. In that situation, they'll probably get credit for a business elective. And that's what we're seeing, broadly speaking. But there is a website on our AP website where it actually will outline, based on the college, what kind of credit they'll give, the credit policy, but that won't be ready till later in the spring. Obviously, students who take AP courses stand out in terms of college admissions. There's data behind how it's persistent, the persistence in terms of AP students for college and careers. A lot of AP students do receive a GPA bump, which doesn't hurt, depending on your school, but I think a lot of schools do that still. And then, of course, it satisfies the personal finance requirement in a lot of states, and we're still working with the states to identify where it's going to satisfy it. But so as of now, in over 25 states, we know that it'll satisfy the personal finance requirement. That changes day to day, so don't quote me on the number. In terms of benefits to teachers, this is something that you might not know, that the AP teacher community is extremely large. We have over 200,000 teachers. And for all new teachers to this course, we're covering the cost of registration for the professional development, which is a huge, huge deal. That's like an $800 to $1,000 value. And so our professional learning are called AP Summer Institutes that'll be offered virtually and in person through the summer in different locations around the country. There'll be a link to a website for that where you can go and actually find that. And we're covering the cost of that. And so teachers who attend that will get access to all these project-based learning resources that a team is building. Detailed guides that I think somebody spoke about at the beginning in terms of like a day-by-day guide, in terms of like what the different activities are, how they connect to the cases, how they connect to the project, and so on and so forth. And so highly encourage teachers and FBLA advisors to take these take advantage of these professional learning opportunities. These panelists are all APSI consultants who will probably be teaching. I'm not sure where exactly they'll be doing the training, but they'll all be doing training through the summer most likely. And in addition to that, once you join the AP educator community, there's a ton of other opportunities. If you talk to some of your AP friends, they might say that they're course readers, which every summer they go and they go to a big auditorium and start grading exams. And that's a whole like thing, and they party afterwards, and it's like a whole community thing. And teachers do this for like years and sometimes decades. It's a big thing. In addition, you can be an APSI consultant and be a teacher trainer. There are development committees. Every time a course is revised, we bring in teachers to help sort of do that. And there's also opportunities to be a course champion. We have teachers who are essentially going and talking about this course in their FBLA event, state event, and so on and so forth. And we're looking to recruit teachers for that as well. So really strong group of, and a quick couple of words about the resources. Again, we know that we're going to have a ton of teachers who are new to AP. And so the resources are really much more than what traditionally AP has done to sort of provide these teachers with all the support that they need. So you have the CED, which came up a few times in the chat, which will be available on March 1st. So definitely go check that out on the website, on our AP. You can just Google AP Business with Personal Finance and look for CED, the course and exam description. It's like this really thick document with all the standards, but it also has the Business Canvas project guide with the rubric, the Financial Advisor project guide. It has all kinds of information in there. How do you teach with case studies? That's something that everybody gets. In addition, everybody who decides to teach a course also gets access to all the case studies that come along with teacher notes and teacher handouts that you can sort of use. And so apart from all this, we have two more things that are really exciting. One is, as I spoke about, those who attend the AP Summer Institutes get access to all the project-based learning guides, which is, again, super detailed that connects all these different elements. And in addition to that, this team right here is working on building resources for FBLA specifically. And so all of this is going to be available. They'll talk a little more about it. So I'll hand it off to the panelists to talk a little more about if I missed anything here that you might be able to help with. Yes, yeah, the students. What kind of students does this course work for? I'd love to have your opinion, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's me on that one. So I talked about this a little bit at the beginning. In my school, we're going to be running this as a 9th and 10th grade class, a year-long class. And I think this class it's a perfect first AP. It's appropriate for the AP kid who just wants another AP. And they're actually going to be challenged by it because it's a completely different approach. It is a project-based learning approach, which isn't what they get in their standard AP class. So if you have a kid who typically needs to know what the right answer is and what the path is and how to go down that road to get to that A, this is going to challenge them. They have to think creatively and come up with new ideas. So it's great for that kid. Like I said at the beginning, it is great for the kid who's nervous about an AP or never thought they could do an AP because, again, of that project-based learning aspect of the course. It allows them to access this curriculum in many, many different ways without it feeling like that traditional AP, but without also losing the rigor of an AP class. This class isn't easy. I had a lot of kids tell me that last semester. They said, wow, this is a lot of work. but it wasn't book reading and excessive test taking and a lot of take home stuff, but they were busy and engaged and active every single class period. And that's what we want for these kids. So that's what these Kickstart programs are all about. The curriculum that's been designed for you, the case studies, like Joe said, are fantastic. The lessons that will be provided to you in the training are many little projects that support the project, the business canvas project that goes throughout the entire semester. So they learn all of those learning objectives, essential knowledge in a real world context, which makes it so much more applicable for kids. They are willing to do the hard work because they care about what they're learning, because they're creating their own business project. So it is something they want to make a strong presence with. Having an audience for this final presentation, this final pitch that they do, having a real world audience for them ups those stakes a little bit and makes it something that is so valuable to them and that they're so proud of.
I want
I
to
think,
attack
Kevin,
something.
were you going to jump in?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the resources, but I just wanted to tack something on to what you were saying about the type of students, because in my school we have a very big IB program, and they don't get a lot of electives throughout their 4 years. They have a very structured program, so they don't get to take a lot of business courses, even though a lot of them are very interested in business. My FBLA chapter is probably about 75 to 80% IB students who never get to take business courses. So this is something that the students have been looking forward to for many years, having this added, because it gives them that ability to take a high level course that does fit into their IB curriculum, and it's just a single elective, so they're not having to commit to a 4-year business program that doesn't really fit in. So they've really been looking forward to it, just to kind of add in another group of students who this is appealing to. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the resources, because I've never taught AP before. So coming into this was a big worry of mine of, am I going to have enough material, even though I've been teaching entrepreneurship for a long time, was that going to fit into this AP level? But I've just been really amazed and impressed with the quantity and quality of resources. So you got the case study guide that teaches you how to teach with case studies. I think at this point there's about 25 case studies, and they're still in the process of writing additional case studies. And the case studies, they tie directly to the various standards for the course, so you can in many cases kind of pick and choose which case studies you want to use, or you may have a particular standard that has a number of case studies that you can choose from. Then you have the business canvas project guide, that walks you step by step through how to teach the business canvas. And then the financial advisor project guide, for the culminating financial advisor project, that walks you step by step through that. And then the PBL, or project-based learning guide, which was another challenge for me because I have not done a lot of project-based learning, but this guide has really made it easy to, take myself out of the equation a lot and move away from a lot of lecture to really letting the students do things in a more self-directed, more hands-on way. So that project-based learning guide has been really helpful and beneficial. And then obviously, I strongly recommend everybody does the AP Summer Institute, which is a 30-hour training, and they're in person all over the country, and then there's also tons of virtual options as well. And they also include they'll include ongoing online support sessions throughout the year as well. So tons and tons of resources to help us be successful and to help the students be successful.
Yeah, and I can talk to this, Jen, this slide here. So I spoke about this earlier, kind of not a sequence. I apologize. It's been a long day. But essentially, So where this course fits into again, it was designed as a foundational course that it allows students to explore the various aspects of business and personal finance. But what we're seeing, our original recommendation is that it was offered in ninth and 10th grade, level 1, level 2, as sort of like an intro course. But what we're seeing is it really depends on your district, actually your school, your district, and your state in terms of how your program to study. So we see this, we have certain districts and states who are looking to offer this as like the honors version of their intro to business course, and in ninth and 10th grade. But the majority of what we're seeing is this being placed around the 10th grade onwards, like 10 to 12, and opening it up from 10 to 12, and having students as a level 2 or sort of like a level 3 course. That's where we're seeing this. And so in either business management or entrepreneurship, and so depending on how your sort of program of study is defined. So realistically, it depends on, it can fit in multiple different places. It is designed that way where it can fit in multiple different places. There are a few places, districts that we're seeing where it possibly could be offered as a capstone course. But more than anything else, because we want to invite more students into the course, we are recommending it be offered more in the earlier set of high school than the later. And so this actually really varies though. So I would suggest that you kind of like think about what the programming in your particular school is or your district, and then see where this would fit in best.
Excellent. Thanks, Anand. We are just over the moon excited that FBLA has been invited to really talk about how FBLA can be integrated into this AP course. So, in the 5 minutes that we have left before Anand is going to wrap it up and give us some more closing information, I'm going to ask our teacher panel to give the top one reason why you are excited about this course, and then I'll ask somebody to tell us a little bit about those FBLA resources that will be coming later. So, Jacob, why don't you start us out with your top reason why you're excited?
Yeah, my top reason is I like that this course is broad, but it also connects to a ton of FBLA competitive events. I love the whole FBLA program, but to me, competitive events is a place for my students to shine. So seeing this course be able to connect with a lot of different competitive events and allowing students through case studies to get experience in that and then broaden their horizon in FBLA. It's a great connection. So to me, the connection to my FBLA students to another deeper level of thinking, the business canvas, all that stuff, is a great way for my students to grow as leaders. So I love that part of the course.
Kevin, why don't you tell us your reason?
I just think that this is something that really elevates the status of CTE. Most people look at it as these are just electives; they don't carry a lot of weight or have a lot of importance. And now having AP courses within CTE, really just kind of strengthens the credibility and opens it up to markets of people who've never taken AP courses, and then also people who've taken AP, but also want to do something different. Joe?
So I'm just excited about the project-based learning and bringing this into the rigor of AP, and I think the two go hand in hand. And I'm really excited to see some of my students who've taken multiple AP courses come into this course and be blown away by the project-based learning aspect of it and how exciting that's going to be. And I can't wait to see the projects that they come up with, and the business ideas that they come up with, and be able to unleash their creativity with that project-based learning aspect of it.
Jen, why don't you round us out with your top reason why you're excited, and then we'll let you tell us about the FBLA resources too.
Sounds great. Thank you. I think what I'm excited about most is I don't normally get the opportunity to teach a year-long business class. So fully integrating FBLA into my curriculum has always been difficult with the timing on our competitive season and our year-long. So that really leads into the work that this panel has been doing. We have been meeting to come up with some toolkits that tie AP essential knowledge and learning objectives to all that we do in FBLA. So we have mapped out the connections between competitive events, all of the competitive events, testing and presentation and role play events, our BAAs, all of our other national programs. And now we're working to create toolkits for advisors to use when integrating FBLA and this course, so that you'll have hands-on guides for some of these projects and how we can use these projects. Little examples, the case studies as role play prep. How can we use our case studies to work with our kids on role plays? The entry events all lend themselves to presentations. So the entry event is the beginning project at the beginning of each unit. So how can we use those to better prepare our kids for project or for presentation events? So this is work that this whole panel has been working on, and we're really excited to get that rolled out to you as quickly as we can.
Thank you to our panelists. Anand, I will turn it over to you to really talk through the next steps. I know we have a couple of questions in our Q&A about how do we adopt this course? What are the next steps?
Okay, great. And a lot of these questions are around adopting the course and bringing it to schools. So the very first thing I want to say, I want to be conscious of time here and be respectful of that, is check your FBLA emails, because as part of the emails we're sending out about this course, you must have seen a few of those. The very first email in March is going to outline every step you need to follow to be able to actually offer this course step by step. There are 6 steps, and we're going to send that email out. So please look out for that email. All of this, so March 2nd, next Monday, is a very important date. So that's when the CED comes out, which is this document we've been talking about that has all of this information in it. So mark your calendars for March 2nd and just Google it and find the course and exam description for this course and dig into that. That's the first thing. The second thing is this deck, which Jen and FBLA will share, has a grant, the participant grant interest form. That's just the interest form to indicate that you're interested in it. But the actual grant, again, opens up on that March 2nd date. So again, on March 2nd, after you look at the CED, you would go and apply for the participant grant if you're interested in getting the tuition waived for the APSI. That's the second step. The third step is there's a link there in terms of a calendar for when the APSIs are available, and we keep adding to those. So if you don't see something there in your area, keep checking back in or sign up for one of the virtual ones. But wait for the grant application to be approved before you sign up for the APSI. That helps. That's the sequence. So the other questions that I saw over here were around, if you're not a CTSO member, you can still 100% participate in this course. Yes, you'll receive an email about the course audit process. All that is a process. We're like trying out a new course audit process right now. You'll have to do one of a few things, and the website will describe it. But essentially, it's a way for you to confirm with us that you're going to cover all the standards and accept a syllabus and that type of thing. So it's not as daunting as it seems, the course audit. It's just a way for us you're committing to us, you're going to cover all the standards that the course offers. And the email will outline what that process is. In terms of, I'm looking at the questions here, in terms of the Summer Institute dates and locations, we'll keep adding to those. But if you can't find something in your area, please sign up for the virtual one, because signing up and attending an APSI will give you access to those project-based learning resources, which I highly, and I'm sure every panelist here will highly, highly encourage that you have access to. It's a game changer. So if you can sign up for an APSI, please do. If you don't, you still get access to the CED, you get access to the financial advisor project guide and other things, but those are not as much in depth as the project-based learning guides. Can this course be offered in 26, 27? I think I saw the question. Absolutely. That's when we want it offered. It's going to be offered globally this fall. So please, in terms of the first step would be to check in with your administrator and your district to make sure you understand where the course is going to be offered in your program of study and so on and so forth. Of course, generate the demand in your school, talk to students about it, parents about it, to make sure that you have enough students. And then the email will outline the process like I spoke about in terms of going through the course audit and getting approved as an AP teacher, which essentially means the course audit process, and then signing up for the grant and then signing up for the APSI. And so we're going to share this deck. It'll have all the QR codes here, but March 2nd is the date, CED, and the grant interest form, application form. So please fill that out on March 2nd as soon as you can and get the process started. I think we
Excellent.
answered most of the questions here in the chat, but yeah.
I believe so as well. So that was a super fast 60 minutes. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We will be putting this recording up on FBLA's YouTube channel and sending this out in the next local advisor alert. And as Anna said, look for an email coming from FBLA with that step-by-step process of how to sign up. We're so grateful to Anand from AP College Board and to our 4 panelists of teachers that are teaching and serving as FBLA advisors. So more to come. Thanks again for being here tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.